What is going on, everyone? We are 25 days away from the NFL draft, 25 days from finding out who is going to be the Houston Texans franchise quarterback. There is no doubt the Houston Texans will be selecting a QB at 2. D'Amico Ryans just spoke about it. If you go all the way back to when the Houston Texans were interviewing people to be their head coach, they let them know what the deal was. The pick at 2 was going to be a QB, but the question is who? Now, this is the first mock draft we are going to do in the month of April. The Houston Texans are on the clock. Times are exciting. Welcome, everyone, to the 713 Houston Sportcast. I am your host, Ruben Calavillo. I drop daily Houston Texans content, guys, so make sure you guys are tapped in and subscribed. We are so close to 6K. And with the second pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, someone who we haven't talked about yet, but the Houston Texans will be drafting C.J. Stroud. You already know how I feel about C.J. Stroud. I think he is going to be a Carolina Panther, but we've already mocked Bryce Young so many times for the Houston Texans, and Stroud gave a don't forget about me performance in Indianapolis. He was the single most accurate quarterback in attendance and feathered in multiple 60-yard plus go balls. This was from the combine. Where he wins is accuracy. Our chart and data would say Stroud is the most accurate quarterback in this class, although having a lot of open wide receivers can skew that a little. Almost never misses layups and errs on the safe side with misses. What is his role? Pocket passer. Stroud excels over the middle of the field and at the intermediate range. If you want to win from the pocket in the NFL, this is precisely where you need to be able to attack. There is no question that, that C.J. Stroud could sling the ball. That performance against Georgia, right, where Jordan Davis was on his ass and he somehow fits it in the back of the end zone of Marvin Harrison. If only they had completed that catch. To me, I thought it would have been a touchdown. But there is no question that C.J. Stroud is a special player. What can he improve? Poise under pressure. He'll get trial by fire in this regard next season, as few teams drafting early have a great offensive line. I don't think that would apply to the Houston Texans, though. After playing with one of the best offensive line in college football, it will be a far cry from what he's been used to. The Houston Texans prepared for this exact situation. Whether it's Bryce Young, whether it's C.J. Stroud, we've invested into the offensive line, making Lerman Tunsil the highest paid left tackle in the NFL, trading for veteran Shaq Mason, who only allowed 1 sack last year. You drafted Kenyon Green with the 16 overall pick. He should have a better year too. Titus Howard, a second year at right tackle in a contract year. He is going to prove that he deserves the bag. The only spot that you are missing is center, and the Houston Texans will be addressing that in this draft. C.J. Stroud, you are a Houston Texan, and a lot of Texans fans can go either way, whether it's Bryce Young, whether it's C.J. Stroud. Y'all know I am Bryce Young, number one. However, if C.J. Stroud is a Houston Texan, wouldn't I mind that at all? He is every bit as a franchise quarterback, just different play styles. I would love me some C.J. Stroud slinging the rock here in Houston. And with the 12th overall pick in the NFL draft, we are giving him a dynamic weapon. No, it is not JSN like a lot of you guys think it is going to be, but it is Zay Flowers, wide receiver from Boston College. He may not have a large frame, but Flowers is filled out well enough that his size isn't a massive issue. His 4.42 second 40 and 10'7" broad jump were stock solidifying. Where he wins is quickness. If Flowers doesn't want you to touch him, chances are you won't. He has that rare ability to sprint in any direction in the blink of an eye. What is his role? Movable weapon. You want defenses to not know where Flowers is going to be on any given play because of how much of a mismatch problem his athletic profile presents. Give him match on a linebacker or safety and it is over. Where he can improve is setting up routes. It's scary to think that Flowers has been as productive as he is without being a well-polished route runner. He's too often running the routes as they're drawn on paper without the thought of manipulating defenders. We need to get him a good wide receiver coach. The Houston Texans having C.J. Stroud, having Zay Flowers, that would absolutely be crazy. He's done just a great job of making himself a someone to talk about in this draft class as one of the wide receivers. I don't think anyone will have any issue if the Houston Texans use the 12th overall pick on Zay Flowers. Now, with the 33rd pick, it gets interesting, right? Where do the Houston Texans go? In my opinion, it is either center position, Luke Whippler from Ohio State. We just took CJ Stroud. So you might want that combination right there. I think that's where we're going to go. But linebacker is also huge for the Houston Texans. I mentioned it in my last video, but outside of Christian Harris and Garrett Wallow, there's really no youth in this linebacking core. That's why I would love to take someone like a Jack Campbell. But when you draft CJ Stroud, you want him familiar with his center in college, and Luke Whippler is ready to start week 1. The first look, center is the least athletically driven position in the NFL, but it was still nice to see Whippler back up what we saw on tape in the change of direction drills. He posted quality times in short shoulder 5.43 and 3-cone 7.64. Where he wins is leverage. Whippler understands line of scrimmage play. He's so good at establishing and reestablishing leverage. His game is what you expect from a 5th or 6th year player. What is his role? Center. Whippler doesn't have an ideal frame to move to guard. He is going to be a center at the next level. I love that. Where he can improve is being an anchor. This isn't too surprising considering he is a 30-year player declaring early. One can expect this to improve in the coming years, but is likely still going to be an issue early on in his NFL career. Luke Whippler is going to be a star center in this league, in my opinion. And having CJ Stroud, right, you want to get him comfortable. Then what better than drafting his center from college? That would absolutely excite me. Y'all guys know how I feel about the center position. We definitely should have addressed it in free agency with a veteran. However, Luke Whippler, I wouldn't mind that whatsoever. I think the Houston Texans get a solid playmaker. The final piece of the offensive line. And with the 65th pick in the NFL draft, the Houston Texans, obviously, we just talked about linebacker. They will be needing one. Trenton Simpson from Clemson, I think, is going to be a stud in this league. Where he wins is movement skills. Simpson is fluid and explosive. There are only so many people who that size can play off-ball linebacker in the NFL, and Simpson is one of them. That's something NFL defensive coordinators can work with. He is 6'2", 235 pounds. Dude is an absolute, behemoth. What is his role? Man coverage heavy will linebacker. Simpson can be your tight end eraser or even flipped over to the slot in a pinch. If you're asking him to match routes concepts routinely, though, he could be in for some rough transition. What can he improve? Zone coverage instincts. He's such an easy mover who can stick with tight ends or running backs in man coverage, but he can get stuck in the mud where he has to maintain relationships in zone. That's worrisome for a linebacker. DeMeco Ryans said in his press conference with the Houston Texans, right, that guys like Fred Warner, who were drafted in the 3rd round, he is now considered one of the best linebackers in the NFL. I have no doubt that DeMeco Ryans could take Simpson and make him into a beast of a player. We are already excited to excited to see what Christian Harris is going to do on this team. But nonetheless, I do like the way this has played out so far. I've gone quarterback, wide receiver, center, and I just took a linebacker, all knees right now on this Houston Texans team. Now it gets interesting to me at pick 73. Where do the Houston Texans need to go? I definitely think there needs to be an edge here for the Houston Texans, and I'm going to go ahead and take Derek Hall, edge from Auburn. Where he wins is get off. The majority of Hall's quick wins come when he gets off the snap so swiftly that the tackle is immediately at a poor relationship angle to block him effectively. His first step is that deadly. He's a 6'3", 255 edge player. Dude is absolutely huge. Hall is not going to provide much in the way of interior versatility, but he should be able to handle any role outside of the tackles. And where can he improve? As pass rush encounters. He is too linear an athlete to even be a complete rusher, but he's explosive enough to still make an impact. He just needs to add counters to his long arm bull rush so that offensive linemen can't sit on it. The edge for the Houston Texans is non-existent. The only bright spot last year was old man Jerry Hughes, who led this Houston Texans team with, I think, 7 or 8 sacks. But this is how I see the first 5 picks going for the Houston Texans. You draft C.J. Stroud, you give them Zay Flowers and Luke Whipple, and then you take a linebacker like Simpson and then beef up the edge with Derek Hall. That is how I would like to see the Houston Texans' first 5 picks play out. You guys let me know what you think. As always, go Texans. You guys have a very blessed day.